London has plenty of previous when it comes to gangs, mobs and firms. For decades, names like Sabini, Cortese, Richardson and of course Kray have become synonymous with crime and violence. In every firm there were ruthless enforcers. One man in particular stands out, Mad Frankie Fraser. Born in 1923, he earned his moniker after slashing Gangland boss Jack Spot. He went on to become a key member of South London's most infamous gang, the Richardsons. Fraser's role was to offer protection to pubs and clubs in exchange for Eddie's one-armed bandits being installed. Failure to do so meant running the risk of having the landlord or the pub damaged.
Well, I'd come out of prison doing 7 years, and I was introduced to them and liked them immediately. And that was it. And then I teamed up with them.
In the 60s, it was great because when it was good, it was very, very good. I mean, a nice Bentley car, pulled up nightclubs and all this and that, everything was going on. It was great, you know.
If you had the West End, that's the jewel in the crown in London. Not the pubs, not this, not that, the West End. The West End is a money-making machine. And they had their finger in every pie. If the machine went into a club, they was basically minding the club without having putting anyone on the door or whatever. But they were very honest and very good with everyone. They weren't greedy. They invited, if anyone went to work with them, they put them in on the coup and give them a fair share. And that's what made my dad and Eddie so good.
Fraser and his two sons have spent over 70 years behind bars. Fraser Sr. had a terrifying reputation as an inmate, repeatedly refusing to submit to custody and protesting about conditions. He started the infamous Parkhurst riots and was accused of kidnapping and hanging the governor of Wandsworth Prison.
I was a right headache to them in prison. I would never give in. I've done more bread and water than any man alive. They don't have it as a punishment now in prison. And I've got an extra 5 years at Parkhurst and all for leading a riot. And they thought by certifying me, I go to Broadmoor and it gets me out of the system. Because the prison officers would be going, we've got to get rid of him. We either got to kill him or certify him. He's making our job hard. And that's why they certified us insane. And it suited me, I could put up with that, because Broadmoor then was much better than prison. Also, I first punched a prison officer when I was very young. You can see how small I am, and I was about as fat as my finger then. And when they see me, the prison officers, you could read their face. They'd be going, the little cockney so-and-so, we'd put him in his place, and they'd make life very hard for me, and I would just retaliate. I'd fight back.
On one occasion, Fraser viciously attacked a guard at Parkhurst Prison.
Well, this prison officer said I cut one of his ears off, and they couldn't find it. Well, the reason they couldn't find it, it was put down the toilet, I flushed the chain, and it's floating somewhere off the Isle of Wight. And for the rest of his career, he was known as Area Harry.
Well, Fraser had a quite a notorious reputation, mainly gained by his imprisonment. So when he came out of prison, you know, I mean, he'd done all sorts of things, you know, so he had a big reputation for in prison. I must say that he was game. If there's anything to do, I had to see someone or do anything, you know, I should say, Frank, we've got to go somewhere. He never hesitated. He jumped in the motor, you know, so he was game enough, that's all I'd say.
Eddie Richardson was once described by not one, but two Home Secretaries as one of the most dangerous men in Britain. Together with his older brother Charlie, they controlled South London.
Eddie Richardson
was more of the muscle man. Charlie was a businessman, and Eddie teamed up with Mad Frankie Fraser and started a company called Atlantic Gaming Machines, and they put in fruit machines in various pubs and clubs around Soho, which they made money from, but they also got protection from those premises and made quite a lot of money out of it.
There was bits of violence, yeah, of course it was. I mean, there was everywhere, isn't there? Everywhere. And especially more so in them days, because, as I say, more people used to look after themselves in them days, much more than what they do, you know,
Can you think
today.
of any, like, particularly bad incidents up there?
Well, there was some people did get chopped up a bit with a couple of choppers, you know, on their legs, mainly on their legs. I think they was Polish that tried to encroach on someone's property. So they did get, you know, chopped up a bit. But no one got arrested for it. It didn't happen in them days like that. Nowadays, I mean, it's all on film, these cameras, videos from the cameras now. I mean, there's nothing. In them days, you was lucky to find a phone box that worked.
Across the river from the Richardsons, in the East End of London, Charlie Kray and his younger identical twin brothers, Ronnie and Reggie, had formed their own gang which came to be known as the Firm. Ronnie, a paranoid schizophrenic, suffered from delusions of grandeur and had planned to not only control the East End, but to have influence in every major city in the country.
It was a mixture of fear and respect. Respect because women and children, untouchable. Ordinary guys who went to work and that, untouchable. Any rows we had was only amongst ourselves, and if we hurt or killed one another, so what? And therefore, people did have a lot of respect, yeah.
Well, they was two puffs, wasn't they, to be quite honest. I mean, Reggie Kray never come out till late. I was away with Reggie Kray for quite some time. He never come out, but at the end he did come out, right? He was a puff, same as his brother. So,
But violent homosexuals.
oh, they was violent, yeah.
But that
I
didn't
mean,
worry
in their own little way, I suppose, they was violent, yeah. So was we, wasn't we? So, you know.
But that didn't worry you and your brother, no?
Never. I tell you, again, that if they put me and my brother in a cell with them two, there's only two people coming out, that's me and my brother. No brains. Both of them, I mean, they was both no brains. What I would say, no brains, you know.
Yeah.
They wanted to be gangsters. They set out to be gangsters. Used to read gangster magazine, gangster comics and things like that. You understand what I mean? I mean, it never happened with me. I mean, I'm running a business and trying to get a few quid and, you know, make yourself successful, a bit of ambition. But with them, that's what they wanted to be.